All right, welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining my three-part series, the PMO Lifecycle, Building, Running, and Shutting Down. This is video 1, how to build and implement a PMO. My name is Bill Dow. I have 26 years of hands-on experience. I've worked at Microsoft, AT&T Wireless, the government of British Columbia. I'm constantly giving back. I've been a member of PMI for many, many years. I've spoken at many PMI conferences. I'm a teacher locally in the Seattle area at the college level. I'm very, very active with Microsoft Project and the Microsoft Project Users Group. I'm a 4-time author, the PMO Lifecycle, Building, Running, and Shutting Down, the Project Management Communication Tools, the Tactical Guide for Building a PMO, and then back in 2008, the Project Management Communication Bible. Very active on Twitter, Facebook, projectmanagement.com, LinkedIn. Please come and join me. And then Project Times, I have several articles up there as well. So we've got 3 parts of our agenda. We'll talk about building a PMO. We'll go into the detailed steps of building a PMO. And then finally, we'll do a quick PMO wrap-up and summary. It's a jam-packed agenda. We're going to go fast. We've got lots and lots of things to cover, but we've got some great information as well. Okay, well, let's do it. When you're thinking about building a PMO, you have to think about the various stages of your PMO. Building a PMO is not quick and it's not easy. Many executives will say, hey, we need a PMO, and the first PM they see, they instantly become the PMO manager. I actually call them the accidental PMO managers. Well, regardless of how you got here, you're in a situation where you need to build a PMO. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's exactly what I've done for you today, is I'm going to give you the points and really the 12 steps of running and building a PMO. And here are these 12 steps. Number 1, start with a plan. Number 2, obtain executive support. Number 3, create PMO staples. Number 4, select your 4 Ps of your PMO, including your methodology. Number 5, select your PMO model. Number 6, create a PMO Maturity Model, which includes your categories and your measurement system. Number 7, obtain your PMO Resources. Number 8, select your PMO training. Number 9, implement your PMO methodologies. Number 10, select your PMO reporting. Number 11, select your PMO tools and processes. And finally, the last step is step 12, your PMOs complete. Wow, that's a lot of information and that's a lot of steps. But these steps are critical, and these steps are ones that will give you a solid foundation of running a world-class PMO. I'll give you a minute to look at these steps. Wasn't that overwhelming? Did you guys realize there's 12 steps to either building or enhancing your PMO? That's a ton of work. And yeah, many of us get overwhelmed. But let's do this. Let's walk through the process of building your first PMO or enhancing a PMO that you already have in place. Let's do that. Step number 1 was starting with a plan. Every project manager, every PMO manager, when they start a project, they have a project plan. They have a timeline of some sort. They've got tasks, they've got people that they're assigning, but everything starts with a plan. You are building a very large PMO or a small PMO. It doesn't matter the size, but you need a plan as well. So step 1 is put it in a plan and make sure you can track how well and how you're driving the items of building a PMO. And more importantly, the 12 steps. So this is what it's going to look like. You're literally going to build out your steps. You're going to put your resources on them. And basically, you're going to drive building a plan for building this massive effort of building a PMO. Now, how many times do you hear We don't like to look at Gantt charts. We don't like to look at project schedules. They're too complicated, blah, blah, blah. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to change that view and you're going to use a WBS type of view. I strongly recommend a tool called the WBS Schedule Pro. You're seeing an example of it here, but your executives are going to love that WBS view of your projects. So build a schedule, create a WBS, use that WBS with your leadership, your management, and really walk them through the timelines and all the activities to build your PMO. Step 2, which was one of the most important steps, is executive support. This is a critical component of driving your PMO organization. Without executive support, you could be in real trouble. So stop. The first thing you have to do is get this executive support. This is a must-do. It's not a nice to have. And what I strongly recommend is actually getting 1 or 2 executives. Don't just get one, get that one executive who will work with his or her peer and get some additional support for building and running your PMO. Executives come and go all the time, and we're going to see that. We're going to talk about that. And if you've only got one executive supporting your PMO and that PMO executive leaves, you're in trouble. So you must spend the time and get 1 or 2 executives to make sure you've got the backing in case they leave. Oh, and executives leave all the time. Be very clear. I actually call it the PMO cycle, where the PMO starts up, you've got that smile, you've got that handshake, and your executive is giving you absolutely everything. That will last between 3 and 5 years. Go out, do your research, see how long executives last. 3 or 5 years is a great time frame. Then what happens is that smile is not so happy and that handshake is not so firm, and your support gets much, much blurrier. Well, we all know what happens is the PMO shuts down. Now, does the PMO go away? Yes, the organization itself goes away. Do the program and projects go away? No, not at all. Even the program and project managers, they'll often stay around, but they'll be assigned outside your PMO. Then what happens? Something major. And what would we do? Some executive gets a great idea, and that idea is to start up a new PMO. And so the cycle continues and continues and continues. I have lived and breathed this cycle 5 times in my career. I've been through it 5 times. And so it's very, very important that you understand the cycle and you understand you will go through this as well. Excellent. Let's go to step 3. When we think about step 3, we think about creating the PMO staples for our organization. What are those staples? Well, it's pretty easy actually. There's 4 main components to staples, or kind of what you need to run an organization. Your mission statement, your vision statement, your PMO value and KPIs, and of course your PMO budget. How much budget will you get to run your PMO? Okay, so a starting budget could be the people that you hire, could be tools. There could be a million different components of what budget means, but budget is part of the PMO staples. So let's look at mission statement. Well, there's millions of mission statements out there. PMO will provide customers with high quality, faster, cheaper projects aligned with strategic goals of the company. This could be one mission statement. There's a million different ones out there. I strongly suggest when you're creating your staples, you create a mission statement that everyone can rally around. A vision statement, drive excellence in management and delivery of projects. Right? There's millions of different vision statements out there, and this is just one of the thousands that are out there. Regardless of the mission statement or the vision statement, you need to have these for your organizations. These are staples. These are must-haves. These are no different than what finance would put in their organization. This is no different than any of them would really put in their organization. Right? Any finance or IT or marketing, everyone has a mission statement, everyone has a vision statement, and I strongly suggest you get those set up for your organization as well. What you're really trying to do is you're trying to get the troops, you're trying to get the PMO team members to rally around what you're doing in the organization, and you can do that by having a solid mission statement, having a vision statement. Your PMO value and your KPIs going to be very different for every organization. What kind of KPIs do you want to track? And then we talked about the value statements, and then of course your budget. Okay, the next step 4, is the 4 P's of your PMO. When you think about your 4 P's of your PMO, it's very, very simple. We break it down to portfolio management, program management, project management, and the 4th P being the PMO itself. Don't forget the PMO itself. And so think about this. Is your PMO just going to be a portfolio PMO? Will it be a portfolio program? Will it be a program project? Will it just be a project PMO? Will it just be a program PMO? Right? These are the combinations. And when you think about PMI and all the great work they've done around portfolio, program, and project, these are the methodologies that you're going to establish for your organization. At this time, we're not talking about Agile. We're not talking about Waterfall. We're talking about pure project management, portfolio, program, and project management, all 3 of them. And we're not mixing in Agile and Waterfall in this conversation. So when you're selecting your 4 P's of your PMO, you're really thinking about those 4 areas with, of course, the PMO being the organization and the organization being the people. So when you're deciding this in step 4, you're going to work with your executives. They're going to have very, very strong opinions that they'll have just a project PMO or a program project PMO. They will have their opinions, and that's totally fine. You just need to decide what they want and then pick your appropriate P's and then move forward. So the 4th step of the process is really your 4 P's of your PMO. Step 5 of your process is your PMO model, right? And your methodologies you're going to use. You just selected your 4 P's. And so now what we do is we say, okay, we've got our P's. Now what model will we use? And when we think about models, we really have 10 major models. We have supportive, controlling, directive, managing, consulting, project repository, enterprise, center of excellence, managerial, delivery, and that list goes on, but these are the top 10s. Then what we're going to do is we're going to look at each of these, and based on the P's that we just selected, we will have, such as the first line, will be a supportive PMO model, but will support the portfolio, program, and project managers. Or will be a directive PMO model and will support the program and projects in our organization. So you're really using this as a matrix where you're taking your models and you're taking your 4 P's that you selected and you're marrying those 2 worlds together. This is a great view for conversations with your management and your leadership. Knowing exactly what's happening in each of the models, right? A directive model is very different than a supportive, very different than controlling, right? Or maybe you're a center of excellence where you have multiple PMOs rolling up to you. And of course, that's going to be handled very, very different than a supportive PMO. So the bottom line is in this 5th step, you really need to know your models, and then you're going to apply your 4 P's, whatever ones you select, against that model. Step 6 in the process is the PMO Maturity Model. So when you think about maturity models, you really think about, why do I need a maturity model? Well, you're thinking around, how do I mature my organization? Right? Without a maturity model, you really don't have a model in place to know whether and what you want to implement and what you want to get better at. Many PMO managers ignore the fact of creating a maturity model, and many PMO managers fail because they have no reference point of where they're not doing a great job and where they need to improve. So I strongly suggest you create a PMO maturity model from the very beginning and then drive that forward. So what's a model look like? Well, there's really 2 major components to a model. There's a measurement system and measurement categories. Measurement system and measurement categories. When you marry those two together, you get a PMO maturity model. It's that simple. Measurement system plus measurement categories equals a PMO maturity model. Make sense? Yeah, it's really that simple. So let's break these down. When you think about a measurement system, you're really thinking about what is the process, or how are we going to measure how well we're doing, right? What I strongly suggest is to use Dr. Kirshner's project management measurement model. Now you're saying, hey, project management, but this is a PMO. Trust me, it works. You've got 5 scales here: ad hoc, planned, managed, integrated, and sustained, right? Common language, common process, single methodology, benchmarking, continuous improvement. Now that works perfect for the project management, of course, because Dr. Kirshner created it, and it is the model that everyone uses. Now be clear, how does that work with a PMO? Well, PMOs have common language. PMOs have common processes. PMOs have singular methodologies or methodologies. PMOs have benchmarking. It absolutely works perfect. There's hundreds of different measurement systems out there. I love this one in particular for a PMO just getting started and getting off ground. I strongly suggest you use it. It's industry leading, it's world class, it's set up for project management, so you really can't go wrong. Now you have your measurement categories, and let's talk about those categories. Well, those categories are very specific for your organization and for your company. So I've got tools, I've got metrics, I've got methodology, I've got organizational people, right? And so what you're seeing here is you're seeing different categories that are all applicable to the PMO, and how do we measure where we're at? And how do we measure our maturity? And so what you're seeing is you'll see that light gray line that tells us our future score. You see the darker gray line that tells us our current score. And so the value of a PMO maturity model is the differences between those lines, right? Here's where I am today. Here's what I want to go to. What do I have to do to make that gap? Now let's look at metrics. There's absolutely no difference between the baseline and the future. And that's okay, because that too is a conversation that you want to have. And you want to say, hey, we're not going to move our metrics. We're already mature enough and we don't have to go forward. Same thing with methodology, same thing with people, where we've got that gap and you really do talk about the gap. And that's the power of a maturity model. Strongly suggest when you're first starting up, just have these 4 categories, use that measurement system, and then when you marry the 2 worlds together, you can't really beat this, right? You've got a scoring system. Tools is at 1, we want to move to 3, right? Methodologies at 3, we want to move that all the way to 5. Organizational people is at 2, we want to move that to 4. When you tie this all together and you take your measurement system, you take your categories and you score each of them, it becomes so just an amazing part of driving the maturity of your organization. I can't stress enough how wonderful this tool is and how important it is for you to justify and move that ball going forward. So set up a maturity model and really will help you for years and years in your PMO. Step 7 is around your staffing model. So when you think about your staffing model, you really think about, well, who do I need, right? Who do I need to do the work that we just selected? This is a huge process, right? You're hiring people and you're bringing people on board. And one of the things that you're going to be asked on a regular basis is you need to justify who you're bringing on board. Well, here's a tool for that. It's called the PMO Roles and Responsibility Staffing Model. Wow, what's the first thing you think? Well, that's just a racy. Well, actually, it's not just a racy. And let me break this down. When you're looking at this, the first thing I want to highlight is the service offerings and roles. So provide executive support, provide leadership, provide portfolio management, provide program management, provide project management, and whatever the case may be, and you're seeing them highlighted in the dark gray lines. Then what you're seeing is you're seeing staff. I need an executive, I need a stakeholder, I need a PMO manager, portfolio managers, right? And so what you're seeing there is you're seeing the justification of all the services you're going to offer and then who's going to play those roles. So you want the title and you want their names in there. And then you want to go back, and if the 4 P's of the PMO conversation said you need portfolio management, that's going to be one of your service offerings, portfolio management services for the PMO. Well, you're going to need a portfolio manager in that role spot. After you have your service offerings, after you figure out your roles, only then do you go put in your R's and your A's and your C's and your I's. Okay, because you're still going to do that, but it's just a different twist and a different angle. You're not seeing the major methodology of your particular programs or projects. You're actually seeing service offerings by roles. I've used this for years. It's an amazing tool to justify who you need on your projects, and it's a tool I strongly suggest you set up and really help you understand what staff you need to hire for your PMO. Okay, step 8 in this process is your PMO training and mentoring programs. I love these programs, right? When we think about why do we set up training and mentoring programs? Well, we set them up to help the individuals that are part of your PMO. We really get these programs set up so they've got a place to turn to and they're not always running to you for help as they execute their programs and their projects. What I love about what PMI has done is PMI has really set the standard, and they've said, hey, look at all the certifications we have. Well, we've bucketed those into the appropriate places. Most PMOs have people in the range of 3 to 10 years. That's where most PMOs sit. And again, because of that 3 to 5 year cycle, so it feels appropriate. But PMI is laid out. They said, okay, you want your CAPM certification, you're in that 1 to 3. If you want your risk management, your agile, your PMP, you're in that 3 to 10. Your portfolio management, you're in 10 to 15, and all the various certifications that they have. So again, really, really important to understand what PMI has done so you can sit and have those conversations with your team members. And then when you think about training, you're going to want to set up the mentoring program we talked about, very formal, work with your HR, get that mentoring program in place, or get a buddy system in place. Very informal, you control it, you drive it, right? You understand what's going on and you buddy your people up so they've got a place to turn to. When you think about pure training, you think about critical, kind of the hard and soft skills training, critical training being MS project, WBS schedule, risk management, schedule management, change management. In soft skills, you think about communication skills, leadership skills, influence without authority skills, right? So you as a PMO manager, you're going to set a series of training up so your individuals in your organization can turn to and take that training to get themselves improved. Step 9 in the process is your PMO model and process methodology. This is where things get real, right? So this is where we've seen this table before. We said we're going to have a model, supportive, control, and directive, whatever the case may be. We're going to be a portfolio and a program, or a program and a project, or just a pure project. But this is where you build your playbooks, you build your guides, you build your training, you select some tools. This is where you make this real. What do you want me to do in a program, project, supportive PMO? What do I do as a directive PMO for program and project? Make it real. Build the guides, build the playbooks. Make it real and implement your methodologies. Earlier, you just decided what methodologies you're going to use. Now you're going to implement them. Step 10 in the process is your PMO reporting. Reporting is critical to running a PMO, right? You cannot forget about running and getting PMO reporting set up. Now, when you think about reporting, you really think about 3 different buckets: portfolio reports, program reports, and project reports, right? Remember the 4 P's we selected? Well, of course, you're going to pick that P and the appropriate reports for that P. Where does everything head? Everything head in 2017, everything's heading to dashboards. Power BI dashboards, Tableau dashboards, every product out there, there's a ton of different dashboards. And so you're going to want to get that set up. And so you're going to set up manual reports for now. You're going to look at past reports and current reports and future reports across your methodologies. And then, of course, get to dashboarding. Dashboarding can be expensive. It can be complex. I wouldn't rush there right away. I'd look at setting up past reports like roadmaps and planning reports and performance reports, or current reports, which are status reports and schedule reports and budget reports, or even future reports where you look at earned value reports or different performance reports, right? Breaking down your reporting needs into those three buckets across your methodology will really get you set up for wonderful reporting in your PMO. And of course, you're going to drive and create dashboards down the line once you get your reports in place. Step 11 is around PMO tools and processes. This is one of my favorite areas because this is about trying tools. This is about understanding what tools are out there and getting tools to get set up. However, don't push tools on your organization if they're not ready. You'll get 1,000 salespeople selling you these projects and they think that they can solve, all these problems, and they can't. They come with a lot of goodness, but they come with a lot of rigor and a lot of structure and a lot of process that your organization may not be ready. So just be aware of that. Tools and processes are wonderful, but there's not something that you can maybe not implement right away if your organization's not mature enough to handle that. So when we think about tools, we break down tools into two big buckets: portfolio management tools and then program and project management tools. And you marry those two together because there's very few just pure program tools. Okay, there's some out there, but very few. Now, when you think about portfolio management tools, you think about Clarify, CompuWorld, UMT, Oracle Primavera, MS Project. Program and project management tools: Project, WBS Schedule Pro, Deltek Risk Manager, At Risk, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of products out there, which is wonderful, but you just have to understand they come with rigor and they come with process your organization may or may not be ready for. When you think about process now, you're going to think about 4 separate sets of processes. You're going to have generic PMO processes like governance and escalations and financial processes. And then you look at portfolio, program, and project, right? What P's did you select? They're going to, of course, have processes associated to them. Portfolio management processes and program management like program status reporting and program risk management and project management process, risk and issue, performance, schedule, right? All of these processes based on the 4 P's you selected need to be set up for your organization. Now, don't forget, tools come with processes. They could be portfolio tools. They're going to have portfolio processes. Project management tools, they're going to have project management processes. But there's a whole layer of tools over top that you cannot forget that they're going to be an active part of that organization as well. And these processes are going to be something that you're going to have to think about, and how do you roll out by themselves, and then of course with associated tools. And that's it. Step 12, your PMO is complete. Through your 12 steps. You've created your staples, you've got your executive support, you've got your model, you've hired the people, you've got the training, you've selected your reporting, right? Check, 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 check. And now it's time to celebrate. But really, now is when the work begins, and this is what we're going to cover in video 2, is running a PMO. But do take the time, do celebrate. It was a huge project and a huge success of building a PMO, and it's something I strongly recommend you spend that time and celebrate the. So as we wrap up, we've covered 12 steps important steps as well to building a sound and lasting PMO for your organization. Don't take shortcuts, right? Create these 12 different areas for your PMO and mature each of these areas as you run your PMO. Understand the value of the 12 areas, right? Why would you spend time building a maturity model? What do you get out of that? Why have a playbook? What's the value of a staffing model? Every one of those 12 areas you need to live and breathe. You need to understand because you will be questioned, right? Why would you build a PMO maturity model? To understand where you need to mature. Why do you create a project manager playbook? To give the project managers the tasks that you're expecting them to do. All of this information is in my brand new book, The PMO Lifecycle, Building, Running, and Shutting Down, plus much, much more. We talk about industry-leading PMOs. We talk about Agile. We talk about running the PMO. We talk about shutting the PMO. We talk about dashboards and reporting. All of that information is there. And you can purchase today. It's available. It's very, very excited. People are loving it. I'm even giving you a coupon. You can get 40% off. You just go to the website, createspace.com. You can see the number there. You plug in that coupon code, and for a bonus for attending today, you will actually get 40% off the retail price. So excited about that. However, a book is only going to take you so far, right? And if you're really interested and you really want to take your PMO to the next level, I want to introduce to you the PMO Lifecycle Building, Running, and Shutting Down online class. This is going to take your PMO to the future. There are 19 modules in this. You'll get a free copy of my book. 19 modules that will walk you through executive support, staples, resourcing, PMO models. There's workbooks, there's dashboards, and we talk about lifetime access to the tool. We've got group webinars, we've got live calls. We just had an Ask Bill a couple weekends ago. We've got a private Facebook group, right? Lots and lots of information. Check it out, www.dowpublishingllc.com/courses. That'll get you the information. Very, very excited. My name is Bill Dow. Here's my information. Twitter, Facebook. You can get me email directly, Dow Publishing LLC. Here are my 2 books that are up on Amazon today. Thank you for your time. Look forward to seeing you in video 2, how to run a PMO. Thanks again.